All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakapadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashim Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners, whomever came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Shai. All right. And what I want to get into today, dealing with the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, I want to read down a few verses and expound, in the spirit, because we coming into some times, that the Lord is going to have to carry us through, which the Lord is carrying us now. And the Lord's, divine intervention is going to have to increase in these times, okay? Because the Lord created Israel to be the rightful ruling nation of the earth, okay? Beginning with the first fruits, the men, all right, that was back with Yahushua in the book of Genesis creating everything with Yahushua, which make up the government of the nation of Israel, okay? And the Lord's getting ready to reestablish, okay, that body, that governing body in the earth forever under Yahushua, the throne of David, okay, is the governing body of Israel ruling the earth in righteousness forever, okay? And that's what the Lord intended for us from the beginning, but we had to get the experiences of the left and the right to be those well-rounded judges, okay, in the kingdom, okay? And we about just got that experience, man. Esau and about showed us everything that we need to know on the left-hand side as far as how not to run the kingdom, okay? And as we come closer to this man's end, this is our beginning, and the Lord is finna restore us, redeem us back to those positions of rulership, okay? And this time we're going to be changed, okay? We're going to be changed into those new bodies which are programmed to be righteous and can't go off, okay? So we'll never be, we'll never be in bad standings with our power. We'll never be sent back into captivity. We don't need to learn any more lessons after this, okay? Esau is the last exam, okay? Beginning with the elect of Israel, Esau was the last exam. That's why we have to make it through the trial, the hour of temptation, which is a test, which is a trial. Okay? So Esau was the last exam, before we're allowed to rule the earth again in righteousness under Yahweh Shai forever, man. Okay? We're finna be redeemed. Okay? But we gotta go through, this last phase, man. All right, and the Lord's gonna bring us through. And we gotta have full faith that the Lord is gonna bring us through, man. We got to know this, man. This is the time also to be rooted in what we believe, man. We got to know this, man. Okay? That the Lord's going to bring a remnant through all this, man. No matter how uncomfortable it get, no matter how crazy and bizarre the odds might seem, I say you're going to go through plot twists, certain brothers and certain people going to betray us, man. So it's like we got to be prepared for all that, man, but still know that he is. And still know that he going to carry us through. So this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 43 and verse 1. It says, "But now thus said the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Shai, that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Okay, thou art mine. Okay, and the fact that the Lord is allowing us to call ourselves Israelites is a token, that he's starting to show favor. Okay, because when the Lord was in the peak of his anger towards us, man, he stripped his name. Okay, so the fact that he's allowing us to call ourselves Israelites, to tap into the Hebrew, all right, and damn what a nigga talking about. If a nigga don't believe that we got the Hebrew, we got the names, all right, stay over there with that shit, man. Okay, because we're fully persuaded in it. All right, but the Lord has allowed us to have access to his names, access, to identity as Israelites. Okay, understanding the promises and the blessings and understanding these scriptures, the wisdom, getting these revelations. Well, that's the Lord showing favor. That's a token that the Lord is dealing. Okay, this is like a down payment on the rest of the promises we got to look forward to. Okay, which that's all in prophecy. You go here to Hosea. This is the book of Hosea, chapter 1, and verse 10. It said, "Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living power." Okay, you are the sons of the living power, which are loosely, translated Yasha, he prince of the power. Okay, so it was prophesied that we was going to be in these different lands, mainly here in the Western Hemisphere, all right, North, Central, South America, but in them same lands where we was called all these different names and bywords and made up names, okay, Brazilians, and Jamaicans, and, niggas and spicks and wetbacks. Okay, these are all bywords, okay, and made up names of this kingdom. Okay, but in the midst of that, the Lord will raise up the prophets, and we will begin to call on the name of our power, and we begin to link ourselves back to who we truly are, Israelites, man. Okay, or the respected tribes. Okay, and that in itself is a sign that the Lord is dealing. It's a spiritual thing because we don't have the genealogies, man. Okay, but the way that our spirit cleaves to this book and meshes with this book, okay, shows who we are. That's why you get this in the book of Romans chapter 8 and verse 16. It said, "The spirit itself, which is the spirit of this book, bear witness with our spirit, the spirit that's in us, that we are the children of the Most High," man. Okay, because only the true descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is going to have a certain connection with this book, to be able to read this book and extrapolate the mysteries and the understanding and the revelations of this book. Only the sons of God can do that. Okay, and that's a witness of who we are. Okay, that's the spiritual DNA test, man. All right, how our spirit bears witness with this book. You see, so going back to the book of Isaiah chapter 43, and it says, "When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers, that they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burnt, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee." Okay? So the Lord's getting ready to carry us through these times, man, of tribulation. We're finna be carried through this, man. You see? We're finna see the Lord power increase. It has to. We need miracles, man. Okay? Because on the carnal level, what the Lord has allowed this devil to have access to and tap into, man, we're gonna need a miracle, man. Okay, nothing short of a miracle after miracle, you see, to get through these times. All right, because the waters, when you go here, let's go to Isaiah 59, because we know those waters are speaking about Esau, because he's going to come in like a flood. As the scriptures say, Isaiah 59 and 19 says, "So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west and from the glory of the rising of the sun." So that's throughout the earth. Okay, because the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. Okay, it goes throughout the whole earth, throughout its course. Okay, so the Lord is going to showcase power upon his men all over the earth, man. Okay, the world is about to witness the power of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, leading all the way up until Yahweh Shai. Okay, and that power is just going to increase all the way up into Yahweh Shai, man. Okay, which is coming to show ultimate power. Okay, so it said when the enemy shall come in like a flood, it's speaking of Esau. He's going to be that flood, okay, that's going to come in and attempt to overwhelm, okay, the church, man, the ministry. But you go here to the book of Psalms, 124. Okay, it's the book of Psalm, chapter 124, and verse 1. It says, if it had not been for the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Shai, who was on our side, now may Israel say, if it had not been for the Lord who was on our side when men rose up against us, then they had swallowed us up quick with their wrath was kindled against us. Then the waters had overwhelmed us. The stream had gone over our soul. The proud waters had gone over our soul. Okay? So if the Lord wasn't with us, man, we would be overwhelmed by these proud waters, which is Esau Edom. You know, because this devil is going to throw everything he got to try to preserve his kingdom. Okay? The biggest threat to his kingdom is the message of the prophets, man. Okay? This is the biggest threat. And the message of the prophets is backed by the power of Yahweh Bashem Shai. And Esau, he going to want to test that theory, man. And the Lord going to show his ass, man. You know, they're going to be martyrs, but that's not the end of the story. You know, because we tell you the whole gospel. We don't shy away from anything. There are going to be martyrs, man. Those that are beheaded for their testimony. All right? But that doesn't stop the standard from being lifted. Okay? Amongst those that remain. And even the martyrs, okay, they're part of their remnant as well. They just had to go another way. They're going to be resurrected at the coming of Yahushua. Okay, so it's a win-win for the elect no matter how it turn out. Everything is working on our behalf. See, we got to move with that energy too, man. You know, speak to myself first and foremost. We got to move with that energy that everything is working for our favor, man. You know, because in this captivity, man, we traumatized with losing so much and things going bad, you know, having our expectations, you know, disappointed. And man, nah, man, we're in the time now where the Lord's going to blow our expectations out the park, you know, by the power we think, you know, the power, you know, that we talk about coming, man, it's going to come in a way, it's going to have us in awe. The provisions, how the Lord is going to provide for us in these times, it's going to have us in awe, okay? Everything is beginning to work for our favor, man. Even in our routine day to day, man, things are working in our favor, man. Because we learn to walk with the hell. We learn to walk with the vexation, man. You know, brothers talking about playing injured, man. We learn to, you know, walk with these things, man. You know? But just having that mindset, man, and look, man, things are working in our favor, man. Things are going good for us, man, in the spirit. You see, we got a spiritual scoreboard. We're not keeping score based off on carnal standards, man. We're keeping score based off a spiritual scoreboard. Okay? And on the spiritual scoreboard, we up, man. Okay? And it says, blessed be the Lord who have not given us as a prey to their teeth. Our soul is escaped as a bird out of the snare of the fowlers, man. Which Esau, this system is a snare. Okay, but we're like that bird that's going to escape. And we're going to go up. We're going to fly up in those chariots, man. Okay? It says, as this place is, because the Lord's going to destroy the file of the snap. I mean, it's like the Lord's going to destroy the snare of the fowler, which is this system. Okay? So as we're escaping, okay, this system, the Lord's going to destroy this bitch, man. Poetic justice. It said the snare is broken and we are escaped. You see that? The snare is broken. Okay, so Yahweh Shai, World War III is going to break up this whole system. Everything that the devil has built up, all his infrastructure. Okay, even all his enchantments, all this going to be broken. Okay, at the return of Yahweh Shai. It says, our help is in the name of the Lord who have made heaven and earth. Okay, so the Lord is going to bring us through these waters, man. There's a standard going to be lifted when the devil, you know, comes in like a flood. Okay, and ultimately we're going to be delivered from this system as a whole. And the Lord is going to destroy this whole system, man. You know? So, going back to Isaiah 43, reading the second part. And it says, they shall, I read it from the top. It says, when thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee. So let's deal with that fire, because it's all dealing with the tribulation, man. In which we got to go through it. You see, we're going to be in the midst of this, man. Okay, that Christian doctrine of rapture, and we're not gonna have to deal, okay, with the time of tribulation. Nah, we're gonna be in the midst of it, man. But the Lord gonna be dealing in the midst of it, man. That's our faith. Okay, Zechariah 13:8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, said the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, two parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. Okay? And that's where we get the understanding of the 1/3, which is the hopeful elect, and 2/3, which are the non-elect over here in the land of America, man. Okay? And it says, and I will bring the third part through the fire. You see that? So we're going to be brought through the fire. Okay? The Lord's going to be guiding us through the tribulation. He's going to be performing miracles and having provisions already, set up for us to be good in these times, man. Okay? We have to believe that. We have to move according to that. We're gonna have to make decisions knowing that the Lord got us, man. A lot of people are finna make these decisions out of desperation. Okay? But we've been, through this grace period, the Lord has conditioned us to understand, all right, that He got us, man. Okay? The elect are not gonna be desperate in the time of tribulation, man. 2/3 are, okay? But the 1/3 is gonna be being brought through the midst of the fire. And because you go into this word fire, real quick, with the Hebrew word is ash. Okay, of course, it's speaking of fire, flames. All right, and then it says what the Most High's anger. The Most High's anger. So Jacob's trouble and the hour of tribulation is going to be the Most High expressing His anger. He's going to be unleashing His anger in the earth, man, and especially on 2/3 of our people. Okay, but the remnant is going to be brought through that fire. Okay, and it says, and I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and try them, which is to test them as gold is tried. So we're going to be tested. We're going to be refined. We're going to be proven to see if we're authentic. Okay, we're fit for the use of the king. Okay, this is the final, test, refining process before we're perfected. Okay, so we're going to be tested and tried to see if we're proven for the use of the king. It says, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them, and I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al Shai is my power, man. All right, and that's us being joined to our power forever, man, during this, after this great deliverance. Okay, so that was a point, just wanted to tap into that, Lord will, you brothers. All right, and you sisters edified. Till next time, I say shalom.